In this day and age, conspiracy theories are more prevalent than ever. Every major social media platform has become a hotbed for speculation on almost any topic, and this content is then beamed into young brains all over the world. Although these theories are becoming more widespread, this is not at all a new phenomenon. It actually reminds me of when I was young because I used to be a Shane Dawson fan. My two favorite YouTubers when I was like 13 were Shane Dawson and Gabby Hanna, and for that I would like to apologize to everyone, I guess. I watched Shane for years before I kind of aged out of his content and then fully jumped ship when he showed his true colors back in 2020.
Because you messaged.
I specifically remember watching Shane's conspiracy theory videos, which he's still posting to this day. I think Shane must have decided that out of all the different eras he's had over the years, conspiracy theories are his least problematic form of content, which is probably true considering he's not helping redeem his reprehensible YouTube peers, wearing blackface, abusing animals, or asking children to twerk for him. But that's not to say his conspiracy videos are or were squeaky clean. Do you remember when he would make videos about real footage of people dying? But all of that is in the distant past. I'm sure Shane has grown as a person and changed for the better. So I've decided to check in on Shane and watch a handful of his most recent videos, and I noticed a few issues, both old and new, that seem to plague his content. I'm going to go through a few of these videos, give my opinion on each one, and point out the patterns I've noticed. A disclaimer before we get started, this video is just my opinion. You can probably already tell that I'm a little bit biased. I do not like Shane Dawson. If you do like Shane Dawson, you probably won't like this video. I will also be bringing up some more sensitive topics, such as child abuse, animal abuse, and racism. I'll only be bringing them up very briefly, and I'm really only doing it so people are reminded of exactly what it is that Shane did. Just a heads up. The point I'm trying to make with this video is that even though Shane is clearly trying to play it relatively safe, his most recent content still has kind of a dark undercurrent, and I wonder what effect that might be having on his young fan base. I think a huge problem with conspiracy theories in general, that is not solely Shane's fault, is that these theories can lead to fear-mongering and inspire a lot of disinformation and bigotry, especially when these theories are being sold to children who will tend to take everything at face value. Some of these videos I'll be talking about are a bit old, but his content really hasn't changed in that time, and he doesn't post super frequently on his main channel. He does post super frequently on his second channel, Shane 2, which hosts his podcast. Side note, I don't even know why he has a podcast, considering his old podcast is where these clips came from.
And then I humped it, and it kept going, and it came all over the cat.
No, you did not.
It was like my first sexual experience.
So I typed in naked baby. First of all, I don't understand why anybody would be turned on by that. But
that's the first good thing you said.
But they were sexy.
The most recent episode is titled Serial Killer Conspiracy Theories, and it contains approximately 0 serial killer conspiracy theories. It does contain a lengthy discussion of the Nutter Butter TikTok page, which has been posting a lot of avant-garde, off-the-wall content. It is weird, but definitely not out of the question for a brand social media account. But Shane is absolutely terrified.
And then this is like a crime scene, Nutter Butters, and then and then look at the kitchen is covered in it, and then the beds, and then they're all in it, and I don't know.
So many of these videos rely on creating drama where there isn't any, and acting so childishly frightened of mundane things.
What's on the front?
That looks like a language I don't know.
Jesus! You saw it! What's going on? I just see Tetris blocks.
Tetris, now streaming on Apple TV. I don't know why I said now streaming like it hasn't been out for over a year. At certain points, he will touch on more serious topics, like the issue of patient brokering in rehab facilities, which is not a theory, it is a well-documented occurrence. I actually think it would be a great thing if Shane used his platform to bring attention to these issues and spread awareness, but I feel like treating the topic like a spooky conspiracy theory in the same video as the Nutter Butter TikTok page just undermines the gravity of the issue. Shane just does not know how to properly handle these things. Because this is not the first time he's done something like this. The video that included his infamous Chuck E. Cheese pizza theory also included footage of Brittany Louise Taylor sharing her personal experience with domestic abuse and human trafficking. I don't understand why those two topics had to be put into one video. First of all, Brittany Louise Taylor's story is not a theory. Second of all, why does her very vulnerable retelling of the suffering she went through have to share its runtime with Shane and Andrew Sawicki gawking at pizza slices? And for context, I'm sure a lot of you already know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, Shane made a very infamous video a few years ago in which he insinuated that Chuck E. Cheese was recycling pizzas. So according to his theory, the employees would collect leftover slices of pizza, mishmash them into a Franken pizza, and then serve that to customers. Obviously, you cannot do that. It's a huge health code violation, and it wouldn't be any more efficient or cost-effective than just making a new pizza. Clearly this is not true, but the video blew up to the extent that Chuck E. Cheese had to release a statement denying the claims. This next video, Olive Garden Conspiracy Investigation, is very similar to the Chuck E. Cheese incident in a lot of ways. 5 years later, Shane Dawson has a new target. He is now accusing Olive Garden of recycling their breadsticks.
They are endless. You can get as many as you want. Nobody ever eats them. You eat like one and you're full and that's it. Now you have like 5 left over.
Well, that's just not true at all. Only one breadstick? What kind of American are you? The way Shane and his posse go about testing this theory out, I just don't understand it. They decide to each go into the restaurant at different times and mark the breadsticks with Sharpie, and the person who comes in after them will then check for the marks. Surprise! None of the breadsticks make a reappearance. Shane then orders 50 breadsticks hot to go, but he accidentally orders them raw, so he has to do it again, and it's just so much waste. In fact, he could have made a video about overconsumption and food waste. These restaurants do throw away an excessive amount of food. He could have actually taught his audience something, but no, he bought 100 breadsticks just to throw them away. In the video, he says he's going to donate them, but like, how, Shane? You're standing in an Olive Garden parking lot with a massive box of raw breadsticks that you already touched. How are you going to donate them? All to prove what anyone with half a brain already knew. Olive Garden isn't recycling breadsticks. Obviously, you cannot do that. Olive Garden isn't recycling breadsticks for the same reason Chuck E. Cheese isn't recycling pizzas. Didn't you learn your lesson then? Or then? Or then? Or then? Not only is Shane trying to make mountains out of molehills, he's trying to make conspiracies out of things that aren't conspiracies. Shane Dawson's content is not conspiracy theories, but rather the ramblings of a man who is too rich to know how the world works. Like this video about Crumble Cookie. A lot of these videos revolve around food.
So if you actually look at the nutrition facts, there's a little star next to it.
You need to read the fine print, sir.
And it's like 200 calories, star. And when you look at the star, it says
Calorie counts are per serving.
For a serving, which is 1/4 of a cookie.
The theory here is what? Crumble cookies have a lot of calories? Like, what is the point here? He even says it's not a theory.
It's not really a theory. I just thought it was kind of fascinating and also an excuse to eat In-N-Out and crumbles with my friends.
Then that should be the video. You would still get views if you just posted vlogs of you and your friends. You used to do that shit all the time. Watching these recent videos and his podcast, it's obvious that Shane is trying to replicate the friend group he used to have when his channel was at its peak. But the reason that group worked is because those people were all very likable, and I think their individual success on YouTube is a testament to that. Those videos worked because Drew Monson was funny, Garrett Watts was funny, Andrew Sawicki was funny. He was also hot, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned the runtimes on these videos. They're always somewhere around an hour, and I definitely don't have an issue with long videos. It would be hypocritical if I did. I once talked about one movie for 2 hours, but you know what? I had 2 hours worth of material to cover. I think Shane feels the need to inflate these runtimes to make the videos feel more legitimate. And as a result, these videos have a lot of filler and drag on for far too long. There is no reason any of these videos should be longer than half an hour. Shane will spend 45 minutes looking for an answer to a question that can be answered with a 5-minute Google search. Let's move on to mind-blowing conspiracies with Shane's longtime friend and co-conspirator, Jeffree Star. You may know Jeffree Star from his makeup, or perhaps his various controversies, or perhaps his connection to Davi Vanity. But all of that is in the distant past. I'm sure Jeffree has grown as a person and changed for the better. Besides, we're here to talk about discount stores. The theory here is that these discount stores, and I'm not naming names but it's TJ Maxx, are reselling makeup that people have returned, even makeup that is used or damaged. Once again, I am not quite sure what the point is. There's no need to start slandering discount stores just because your makeup is now being sold there. Shane comes across as extremely out of touch in this video, which I guess is just par for the course. He and his husband Ryland, who I somehow haven't mentioned until just now, keep commenting on the state of the makeup section of this TJ Maxx.
They should just throw that away. Why would they sell that?
I will tell you something. I used to work at a discount store, and not once ever did we put used or damaged products back on the floor. Obviously, you cannot do that. If you're in a discount store and you see a messed up makeup palette, that's because a customer messed it up and there's only so much the employees can do. These retail employees are not getting paid nearly enough. A lot of them are probably kids, don't get too excited, Shane, and they just don't have the time to inspect every single product in the store. And just like in the Olive Garden video, Shane and friends have hatched a bizarre and convoluted plan to test their theory. They buy a palette, draw a star on the inside, fuck it up a little bit, return it, then come back later, purchase the same palette, and check for their star. And lo and behold, they find the palette with their star. This is a mess for a couple of reasons. First of all, they have no way of knowing the palette they buy the second time is the right palette, assuming there are multiple in stock. And second of all, the stars were in two different places and look completely different, so the entire video is fake. This is just a theory, but I think Shane Dawson staged this video in order to convince his followers that discount stores are selling used makeup. And my question is why? I don't understand what he wanted to accomplish with this video. His claims here are completely baseless. He talks such a big game about getting sued in all of his videos, you would think Chuck E. Cheese actually did take his ass to court. But if you keep making shit up about TJ Maxx, buddy, you will get sued. He faked the whole video to prove a point, but what point is he trying to prove? That brings me to Investigating Conspiracy Theories with Shane Dawson, in which Shane discovers private labeling. For those of you who don't know, private labeling is when a store like Walmart or Aldi will sell two different forms of the same product, just with different labeling and different prices. Private labeling is how you get store brands like Great Value or Simple Truth. The Trader Joe's animal crackers are exactly the same as Stouffer's. The generic Cinnamon Square cereal is exactly the same as Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Customers have the option to buy the same product for less, and the company that owns both labels makes a profit. That's private labeling. It's not illegal, it's a very well-known business practice. And it is blowing Shane's fucking mind. Again, this is not a theory, it's just a thing that happens. And I'm not calling Shane a liar, but I feel like anyone who grew up poor would at least be aware of the existence of store brands. Are we noticing a pattern? Because between this and his outrage towards discount makeup, it seems like Shane really enjoys punching down. This is the same issue I had with the TJ Maxx makeup video. Listen, Shane, sometimes when people buy discounted items, it's because they need that discount. Because that's all they can afford. Because they're poor, Shane! And going back to the makeup, Shane is also furious about the existence of dupes. Shane Dawson is obscenely rich. If he's upset about paying $45 for lip gloss when other people have been paying $8, I really don't feel bad for him. It seems like Shane's ideal solution would be to completely eliminate private labeling because he views it as being lied to. But you're not being lied to because you didn't know something. Store brand products are the exact same as the big names, just with a different label and a lower price. Yes, it does benefit the company that sells both products, but it also benefits the customer who can now save money on animal crackers for their kids. Shane acts like he's unearthing some hidden truth or breaking this big story when he's just not. I haven't been this annoyed by a YouTuber's unwarranted ego since Gabby Hanna compared herself to Freddie Mercury. Shane is not going to inspire any widespread systemic change with these videos. The only outcome I can see any of his content having is the harassment of minimum wage employees. I want to touch on this video, Mind-Blowing Conspiracies with Shane Dawson. In this video, Shane touches on Sephora kids. Let me rephrase that. Shane discusses the Sephora kids phenomenon.
Let me break it down. 10-year-olds on TikTok who think they need a full skincare routine before they're even old enough to have a pimple.
All she wants for the holidays is, well, not toys, but skincare products.
All I wanted this year was skincare and makeup.
Say, Shane, weren't you selling makeup to kids? Do you not stop to wonder if you have perhaps contributed to this in some way? Honestly, if I had to give Shane Dawson one piece of advice, it would be to really start considering the effect your words and actions will have on your audience. I think the best time to start doing that would be, 15 years ago? Finally, I want to talk about mind-blowing conspiracy theories, not to be confused with mind-blowing conspiracies with Jeffree Star or mind-blowing conspiracies with Shane Dawson. These titles are very similar, and it made things very confusing when I was making this video. He goes through TikTok's data policy in a way that makes it seem a lot scarier than it is.
We collect certain information about the device you use to access the platform, such as your IP address, user agent, mobile carrier, time zone settings, identifiers for advertising purposes.
This is the part I have a problem with, and is really what motivated me to make this video in the first place. I feel like presenting the information this way is only going to scare your audience, which is mostly children, and make them freak out and spiral. Spiral. It all makes sense. For over a decade, Shane Dawson has tried to paint himself as a wide-eyed, innocent, precious little 36-year-old father of two who is continually taken advantage of because he's just so gosh darn nice. He accused Franchesca Ramsey of being negative when she criticized him for doing blackface and saying racial slurs, then proceeded to talk at length on his podcast about how much he'd like to torture her. I do want to give a specific content warning for this one because it is a pretty graphic description of violence. I won't play the full clip, but I will play a lot of it because out of all the disgusting things Shane said on his podcast, this one isn't talked about as often, even though I think it's absolutely horrible.
But what I would do, because her whole thing is she like always would tell people that I'm a bad person, that I'm racist, that I'm this, that I'm that.
Oh.
So what I would do is I would have, a knife to her throat, and I would make her say the most fucked up, awful, racist, sexist, whatever shit, homophobic shit, and be like, if you don't say it, I'm gonna slice your neck. And then she'd say it, and then I'd rip her tongue out and be like, that's the last thing you ever said. So then that's when I put my whole hand in her jaw, in her mouth.
From
backwards. And I just start
like
wiggling. And then I just start breaking. But I don't want to rip it off because I don't want her to die yet.
He claimed to be an empath when he went to bat for people like Jeffree Star, Tana Mongeau, and Jake Paul, inserting himself into situations he had no right to be in and doing untold damage for the sake of helping people. And now, in 2024, he's an innocent little baby who doesn't understand off-brand animal crackers or the way TJ Maxx works. I really don't understand why he's making content at all. What's the point? He could easily retire now and live in peace for the rest of his days with his husband and alpacas and those kids he's got now. He's mentioned wanting to get back into making movies, which is really exciting because it went so well the first time. But if Shane insists on continuing to make content on YouTube, fine. Talk about conspiracy theories, talk about serial killers, talk about cults, whatever. It doesn't affect me, I just won't watch it. But I don't know if I agree with making this type of content and then using all of these bright colors and this over-the-top style of acting to try and sell that content to your young fan base. And Shane knows his audience is primarily children. He's always known that.
As a YouTuber, the only pussy that's getting thrown my way is 12. So I can't touch it.
Illegal.
Legally. Do you have fans who want to fuck you? Like, but young? Like, a lot of these young girls, like 12, just like, oh, shove a cock in my mouth, like all this stuff. They'll, like, grab my butt, and I'll hear them, like, I touched his ass, oh, I want him to fuck my pussy, or whatever.
Look at this thumbnail, and then compare it to this one. He's clearly angling for a cleaner, brighter image. I would assume whatever is left of his audience is young, and there's a lot of potential for these kids to fall hook, line, and sinker for whatever Shane says. They'll think Shane is exposing the truth, when in reality he's just discovering basic marketing strategies. They'll get upset and scared of things that aren't worth being scared of. Or worse, they'll fall down rabbit holes and pipelines that aren't productive or beneficial. I remember being terrified of his videos about the end of the world or the Illuminati. I would lose sleep over his videos as a kid because they made me so scared and paranoid. Except for this one.
Now, I'm sure some of you guys remember the band Gorillaz. Yeah, this was a virtual band. All the members of the band were cartoons, and all of their voices and instruments and everything was created by one guy. Damon Albarn was the brainchild behind Gorillaz.
I'm sorry, who? I think Shane absolutely knows what he's doing. He's been on the internet for far too long not to, and he's been proven in the past to be a very calculated person. I think he is very much aware of how flawed and potentially harmful his content is. I just don't think he cares. But that's just a theory. A Shane theory. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you enjoyed the thumbnail because it was really hard for me to draw. I had to stare at Shane Dawson's face for 2 hours. That was hard for me. I had to watch Tetris afterwards so I could stare at Taron Egerton's face for 2 hours. If you did like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you liked me, be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you want, you can even turn notifications on so you'll be the first to know the next time I'm ordering 50,000 breadsticks from Olive Garden. Anyways, that's gonna be all from me. I've gotta go figure out what to do with all these breadsticks. Bye!